Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Long and Thick podcast, where we help you navigate the noise and cut through the bullshit in the health and wellness space. I am joined by my dear friend. He is back from his travels. We are back in person. We want to quickly lay out the heart and soul of this episode. We're talking about quite a few things here. We have four main talking points, most of which are about body composition, some of the intensities and things that people navigate in terms of their size and how it pertains to the social implications, right? Being too thin, being too heavy, trying to make sense of some of that stuff. So we're going to chop through some of that stuff. But before we do, Daniel, welcome back.
Thank you.
Officially.
Appreciate that.
Pleasure to be back in our groove. How in the fuck art thou?
I'm doing well. It is Easter today.
It is
which
Easter.
Is cool. It's a crispy, cool spring morning, which is great.
I'm actually hatching an egg right now.
Oh, okay. Is that why you keep squirming?
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, no, it's awesome. It's great to be back. The weather's been very, very pleasant. Not snowy, windy, super cold on a mountain. So it's been great. Getting back in the groove has been awesome. So no complaints. How about you?
Yeah, all is well. I had a much less adventurous time since we've been back into our little nook of recording gymnasium, but looking forward to hashing through the slinging slasher that is, all things body size.
Yeah. And this gets into some sensitive stuff too, right? And it's nothing that we're trying to be cavalier about and discredit or discard, because everything about physical standing, social standing around your physicality, consumerist social norms about what the physical expectations are, it's heavy, and it's gotten increasingly heavy decade after decade, to the point now where it's just supercharged monstrosity on the internet. So we have loosely titled this that thin isn't necessarily thriving, big isn't necessarily braver, and mirrors might just be making us crazy. So
yeah, and I think it's important to note that every single person has some flavor of experiencing this. So it is truly one of the most relatable topics ever, whether you fall on the, thinner naturally side, or you've dealt with weight struggles in terms of having too much on you, or so you feel. There's also the people that feel too in the middle. They're not outrageously muscular. They're not outrageously thin. And so some folks might just feel bland, right? So I think
they just don't have a physical fight, so they needed to kind of adopt one.
Right.
So whatever that may be, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I think it's a very even playing field. We all have bodies. And so everyone has had some kind of grumpy episode towards their own body and the presentation of themselves. And so we just want to talk about some of those things. Do you want to kick off our first?
Well, yeah, we're going to go over a couple things. So our kind of itinerary for the day is talking about, one, the fixation in our culture, or the cultures, with being thin, or also being obsessed with a number on a scale. Now you also have a recoiling from that, equal and opposite reaction. You've had the body positivity movement, where it ultimately also is extreme in the opposite direction, because one feels too oppressive and unrealistic. So then there is something that's actually, this is all okay, which is not quite the truth. And that's also been allowed to persist in kind of an unhealthy way. Beyond that, we are going to then talk about how in modern times, the blessings and curses of GLP-1s, performance enhancing drugs, where it is in human nature to kind of go for a quicker fix. And it's not that some of these things don't have their place. And then finally, we are going to basically talk about, in our ideal worlds and in our opinion, of how to physically sequence this to not only be healthier, perhaps thinner in the process, but stronger and having better longevity in the process without extreme things employed or extreme outcomes.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what are your thoughts on thin fixations and scale fixations?
This one, you and I both have quite a unique take on, because we come from the side of being like excessively thin, right? And so I can speak to being young, first like pool party at a friend's house kind of thing. Girls are there, my crush, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't even want to take my shirt off. My ribs are like out. I look like a fucking Holocaust victim. And it's like, what's wrong with me, right?
Sure.
Like, why is my belly button in Audi, even though I don't have an Audi? Like, it's, you know, like that kind of thing. And why are my wrists so why and it's this hypercriticism of self. So coming from that side, and having sort of the superpower of like, I could eat whatever and never gain weight, is nice. But the problem with thin obsessiveness is that people can't put a boundary on what does that even mean? What is an appropriate amount of thinness?
Sure.
And why do you want it? You want it probably because it's been sold to you. And this is extremely more pointed towards women than men.
Sure.
You know, you want to have her arms and that snatched waist and blah, 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 blah.
Thighs. Sure.
And so I think there's a piece of that we'll never truly be able to appreciate in terms of just being sexualized from the time you begin puberty and forevermore from there. But it's so misleading because the amount of women that I have the privilege of working with who end up eventually being down to lift heavier all have the same fear. And we know this fear is bulking up.
Sure.
No one wants to be this like Hulkamania woman. Some people do. Most don't want that. They don't want to take up more space. They don't want to be noticed like that. They want to look slender and elegant and sexy. And it's not. It guides you down this road that I don't know. I don't know the stats on it. Anecdotally, I would say 90% of the time, 95% of the time turns into some kind of disordered eating.
Sure.
And like,
and more extreme body dysmorphia than already started as.
Exactly.
And much to your point too, it's what is the threshold? What is the end target of skinniness? And that goes in either direction. If you're trying to get bigger, how big is big enough? And it just becomes this muddled idea. As long as you know you're working towards something, you lose. And this could be a positive thing when it's shaped the right way, because then you're just pursuing your health healthily,
right?
And you just keep going,
right?
But that has an equal and unfortunate inverse, is if you're doing something unhealthily, you don't really have a North Star. You just know that you'd have to move somewhere, and you don't ever know what the stopping point is. And then it can get truly grim,
right? Because
you are killing yourself effectively.
Either
by
starvation,
overeating or starvation, depending on which way you're going.
Right. Yeah. I think it's just such an unfortunate thing to have to experience, because the amount of information and following that people have around these types of things, you never know what's going on behind the scenes. And a lot of what we'll sort of keep referencing here is that like someone's size only tells you so much. You don't know like where fat or fat isn't stored. You don't know if an organ is excessively, fatty or not by looking at somebody. So there's a lot of assumptions that we make based on appearance that are so small of a percent of accuracy, right? Like you really have no idea. And so it just feeds on this ideology that our appearance is our health. And that is so backwards.
It's so inaccurate, because some of the most air quote beautiful people that you see in print or on a runway, I mean, they're eating next to nothing. They are working themselves quite literally to the bone. And if that person had blood work, their mineral and vitamin deficiencies would be staggering.
Sure.
I mean, I've had family and friends that have all done modeling, and the diets and
it's like a carrot and a cigarette.
Right. And it's like, oh, well, like, yeah, I lost my vision a little bit on the runway, or like could barely like stand up for a little bit. It's like, that's enough.
That's normal.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's bad. And again, we are trying to be as absolutely sensitive as possible with this, because this is decades of cultural and consumerist conditioning berating you. And that also comes to like, why people get so fixated. I mean, I'm sure you can relate, but like I was bullied for my size as for being a tiny kid. A woman, not only that is going to get in terms of her in-person interactions, but every piece of magazine copy, everything she'll see on TV, everything is just like, do you look like this? No, you're failing.
Then you're garbage.
Yeah, then you're not beautiful.
Right.
So that's terrible. And it's not to say irreversible, but it just needs to be called out to be like, hey, there is an alternative, which we will explore and discuss. But it's also not to say that like as guys, we've for sure had it easier.
Oh, 1,000%.
So we're giving credence to that. We're not just saying like, oh, it should be easy. Like, don't just worry about the scale or the mirror. Like,
hell no. It's more that we have no leg to stand on in terms of the true, unadulterated experience of being a woman growing up,
right,
and having to navigate that.
But just at least posing ideas of how to be healthy, and perhaps in that pursuit, surprising yourself. And we both have had female clients that, again, have a ton of friction at the idea of like, well, if I put on muscle, my weight actually goes up. That's terrifying.
Right.
But you push that far enough and like, oh, well, I feel so much better.
Yep.
I'm actually seeing the athletic body that I want. And that number doesn't scare me as much. It may always scare people to the end of their days, but at least exposing people to another option that will make you feel better, potentially feel better in your own skin and in the mirror. But you just have to get over that lurch, that like that number is not the absolute end all be all of what your health and your physical success will be represented by.
Love it. So, and the flip side here, we're sort of hopping into the inverse, which is like our second point is the fixation on that scale number, and really from a perspective of weighing too much.
Sure.
Right. And I'm putting that in quotes because again, there is so much cloudiness around what that even means. And somebody who has, a little cushion around them, right? Or the dad bod, that guy might be a fucking beast.
Yeah.
I know some dudes that are built like that are like, they can do flips and they can outrun me. And like, they are just like fucking animals. And you would never know at the mall, but like, of course that's the point.
Yeah. Absolute units for sure.
You have no fucking idea. So can you sort of dive into some of, I guess the biggest, hang-ups or things that you've seen when people are, every session they come in and they're talking about that number first and foremost.
Well, yeah, this on either side of the sex aisle. So the hardest part with female clients is, again, if that trends in the unfavored direction, generally up, something has to be wrong. And they want that to go down as fast as possible, which again, it can go down depending on what their starting point is. But if you're making someone healthier, and we know by the data in terms of longevity studies, in terms of biomarkers, that there is no substitute for what the effect of muscle on your body can do positively for you.
Right.
But again, that's a tough proposition because if I start training a woman, especially if she doesn't have a ton of weight training experience, then you're going to have water and glycogen weight gain. You're going to have weight gain through muscle gain. And at the best case scenario, that might even out on the scale. So it just doesn't move at all, which is also damning because like, why want that to be down?
Right.
It's like, well, this is the long game. And we'll touch on that at the end of the episode, but it very well could go the opposite direction. I try to be super forthright with that. And with gentlemen, depending on where their starting point is, for you and I, it is a slog. And it's taken me 17 years
to hit a good spot of.
So, I mean, that's to present day. But when I started at 22, I was 120 pounds.
Yeah.
It's taken me 17 years of ups and downs and failures and successes and trying things on, and a good part of a couple years where I'm eating 6,000 calories a day. Miserable.
Yeah.
Miserable.
Yeah. And
then finally getting to a point where I could maintain like somewhere in the 180 to 190 range. But it's tough. It is really, really tough. And as a guy, you're like, man, I just want to be like 10 pounds heavier. And at a certain point, like for me, I got up to similar this weight, but it was not healthy. I was like a water buffalo. It was in my 6,000 calorie range. I was just, for my size, I was just like puffy and bloated. I'm like, oh, I made 190. It's like,
dude, but you look like not like what you want.
Correct.
And you don't feel like what you want.
And that just also plays in the part that's always going to be the long game. And it's we're going to kind of circle this idea, this entire episode is if you look at a number on a scale, your idea is that if it's lower, you're skinnier, you're healthier, you're fine.
Right.
But what we would like to at least pose as an idea is that you should be thinking about for your health, for your longevity, for your ability to navigate the world, support your family. All of that is you should be thinking stronger, not skinnier.
Right.
And that might have a different look on the scale.
Yeah.
But I can almost guarantee you that the look on your body will be more favorable to you in the long run. You just have to trust yourself to get there and not always be haunted by the number on the scale, which is so much easier said than done. That's not an easy task.
Right.
But
yeah, I think it's, we were talking about this episode earlier this morning, and the tricky piece that comes to mind for me over and over again is that there is a component of how well we are received that influences a lot of this stuff, right? The pretty privilege, right? There's something profound about getting well dressed, feeling like you look good. But the difference that I want to personally embrace, encourage other people to embrace, is like truly tapping into what that means for yourself and not what it visually represents and not what someone else says, right? Because you're going to be a slave to those factors forever then. And if I feel like I'm getting stronger, I'm building more muscle, and the number doesn't really change, should I be upset? At first, maybe, yeah, but like, why actually? If the numbers are moving, I'm getting the things out of my body that I want, and like everything's just fine. Like, what's the problem? Right. You have to sort of be down to trudge through this stuff personally because it is just about how you're fluctuating through both sides of the aisle here. And I don't want these types of episodes to sound like we're saying, well, just be fit and like be hot. Like, I think there is a appropriate ratio for people that is very circumstantial, life dependent, that like maybe what someone is calling a little bit pudgy. Again, you have no fucking idea what their blood work and these things look like. And I'm not talking about a 600-pound person, right? I'm like proper healthy ratios that are relative to your skeletal structure. And how do you fucking feel? Do you feel like shit all the time? Let that be the star that is like guiding you, as opposed to someone calling you fat or really thin or whatever, So it's a really hard thing to.
It is. And I think it is a sign of maturing and having more control over your mentality and your emotions, because we probably both have had things where someone in the past said something, it really would have cut deeper. And you're like, oh, well, I need to make adjustments and change my trajectory because this person said this.
Yeah.
But like you said, you have to do some internal work. You have to reevaluate your value systems and why these things, why you put so much emphasis on someone else's opinion.
Right.
Where do you think it truly reflects your worth or your value in this? Does it actually, or are you just letting it?
Right.
And that's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah.
But, if someone said something now, I'd be like, well, who cares? Again, but in everyone in their life, you could be 16 or 60 in your various parts of your emotional and mental development. That still may cut deep until, a 6-year-old person be like, oh my God, why do they think that about me?
Right.
And that could still, so you have to do some internal work, and that's not easy. It's sticky business.
It's not easy.
That's part of the game. But the quicker you can at least shed some of the expectation weight of everyone around you, the world around you, like you have to be this thing. You are going to breathe easier. You're going to feel easier, and you're going to navigate your health and fitness journey a little easier as well.
Yeah, agreed.
Just give yourself some dang grace.
Yeah, man. Next up.
Yes. The equal and opposite reaction to a culture saying that you should be thin at all costs and that is your worth is going to be the body positivity movement, which is usually quantified by people that no matter what their physical standing is, that should be enough. And it usually is a heavier weight population. Usually it doesn't mean it doesn't happen in an underweight population, but it started off as most things do, a positive thing, but it got bit too misaligned with, it doesn't matter where you are. If you say you're healthy, you are. And that should be enough. And someone else should co-sign that. And that should be enough.
Right.
And that's where things get sticky, because we're seeing more and more disordered eating populations on either side of the aisle saying like, oh, I feel great. That should be enough. But again, blood work. If at a certain point, yes, you can have a body fat percentage that is acceptable, even if it eclipses what we think is physically perfect or whatever than that.
Agreed.
At a certain point, the effects are egregious though. And you cannot discount that. You cannot be 200 and 300 pounds overweight and be like, I am healthy. It's like the data does not support that. You have a higher likelihood of early mortality, a much higher likelihood of disease, and that cannot be helped.
Right.
And that's where this whole thing, and it's not that you shouldn't support someone and be encouraging to them. But that needs to be separate from, hey, you quite literally are eating yourself to death. And you need to also be critical in that way, supportive in the right way. So you don't you're not just badgering or bullying them. But if you are a person in that person's corner, then those conversations need to come to the forefront. Because listen, I'm happy that you're positive. But if you are 300 pounds overweight, the clock is ticking.
Yeah. I think this is something very important to convey, in that the heart and soul of body positivity is very beautiful. And I would honestly agree with it, in that you don't have to do anything to be loved. You're deserving of that. You don't need to necessarily change for anybody. In fact, you should be able to meet yourself with love and kindness wherever you are. The difference, I think, is what you're talking about, where somebody is lying to themselves about something. And what we're calling healthy is, excessive joint demand or too little, right? You don't do anything ever. And so you're frail as a bird and your bones are dusty, right? That's the flip side. And just, it's less about us. This is, I think, a pitfall that a lot of podcasters, health people fall into, is that it sounds like we are attacking those people.
Which, we are not.
We're not at all. I don't really care what you do outside of how it's going to influence the people that love you and know you, listener who I don't know, maybe, right? I want my dad to work out, not because he's overweight or underweight or whatever. I want him to fucking live for longer at a better quality of life. The end. So whatever things get him more healthy objectively, that way I care more about. That's the point we're trying to get across. So it's less about this hyper shaming of, oh, you're so fat and disgusting.
Right.
You make these horrible choices. You have no discipline or willpower. That's also not true. And the people who have never dealt with a eating disorder are so quick to be yeah, but I'm not.
Yeah, just put it down.
Yeah, just one less bite, fat ass.
Yeah.
Why don't you eat more, you skinny little bird? Whatever the thing is, we love to berate people that are dealing with something that we aren't, even though they're a porn addict or a heroin addict or whatever the thing, right? Just because your thing is hidden away and theirs is out in front of everybody doesn't make you better.
Right.
So people who might have a gripe with my take on I'm not saying being 300 pounds overweight is healthy, but I am saying that it's fine for that person to exist.
Sure.
It's not good for their health, but there's nothing inherently wrong with them in terms of them being deserving of less of a life.
Right. Yeah. No, we're not condemning their value as a person or their standing.
Right.
Just the difference though is this particular movement has come to a point where they also are mulling over the effects of poor health while being positive about it. It's just well, I'm just saying I'm healthy. And
amplifying, the wrong, yes.
And that
is a problem.
Is a delusion.
I agree.
And that is going to hurt more people than it helps.
I agree.
Because while it is a momentary uptick and oh, this feels good because this person's saying a positive thing about me, it's again, there is a looming problem in the corner that is going to come to roost far quicker than you realize if those health things are not addressed.
Agreed.
And at a certain point, they are calculable and they are pretty much guaranteed.
Right.
So that's where it becomes more of a delusion.
Yes.
So that person for sure demands respect no matter what.
Right.
But when people in their corner or they themselves are like, well, I don't care what it says. Like, I'm healthy. It's like, you don't get to make that conclusion.
Right. Agreed.
And that is what we're saying is everyone demands respect, but you also need to have a scientific respect for your health because certain things are irrefutable. And at a certain point, you have to acknowledge it or suffer consequences that you don't even realize that you're disregarding.
Right.
So,
yeah, well said.
So that brings us to our next piece, especially in the modern day advancements in health and medical tech. We've now arrived at the era of GLP-1s, a place where PEDs and peptides are openly talked about and kind of a mutated addiction around all of those things. Hit me with it.
Yeah. So I think, again, there's this theme here, right, of either hyper thinness or excessive growth or largeness, right? The
looks maxing as the kids.
Fuck yeah, dude. I've been chewing on marbles all morning just trying to get my...
Smacking my face with a hammer.
That's the world we live in, though. If that does not make you pause for it, that it's so in your face that you just like, you don't even think about it. But people do these types of things for all the same shit we're talking about.
Yeah.
To either stick out like a lot from their fucking, here's my diving board, jump off of my
my side jaw thing.
Yeah. My side jaw thing. But like, it's just like, oh yeah, whatever. That's a little weird. Whatever. So it's too normalized, these extremes. That being said, I think there is a place for all of these substances in some way, shape, or form, that being the use of a GLP-1 or some form of a PED, or I think some people lump that together with hormone replacement therapy, which is maybe not appropriate to, add those together. And then the peptide side, less performative, but more like you're just experimenting, and usually revolves more around pain stuff, right? As opposed to maybe sometimes like gastro stuff or whatever. But I think all of these things can be used in ways that are beneficial and healthy, and most of the time aren't, I would love if it was a little bit more normalized with GLP-1s to microdose and have 3-month trial periods with a forced, in quotes, pause after, right? That was strongly encouraged.
Sure.
And then the same with PEDs, like, hey, you're not going on the podium, like stop, like chill for a little bit. Because people's hearts get so chunky and then they burst, and that's not a win either. That's not really healthy, right?
Or you absolutely shut down your liver and your kidneys, because
pretty cool too. Dialysis is very sick.
Yeah, unfortunate. And it's like you said, all of these things can have their place, but where this skirts the line with addiction and anything is when, say, you start losing weight. Okay, you're going to start making concessions and try to lose more weight fast. If you start gaining weight, you're like, oh, I'm going to just pack myself to capacity. You're looking at someone who did the very same thing. It's like, okay, well, how far in extreme can I take it? Because if it won't unalive me, I'm kind of willing to do it.
Right.
And that then spills over into these synthetic substances that you don't realize how robust they are and what they can do to the human body. And unfortunately too, no one really knows, like some of these experimental peptides, you don't know what the actual optimum doses is because they're not really done with human trials. They're done with animal trials, and they're allowed to be sold to humans.
Fucking anybody too.
Right.
They're manufactured by some schmuck who, the amount of people, have you gotten targeted with these yet where they're like, hey, your page is looking great. Would you like to sell these for us?
Oh, I have not, thankfully. No, everything for me, thankfully, it's annoying how many they come in droves, but it's all just like coach scaling.
Sure.
Oh, do you want 1 million more views on your post? I haven't got to the creepiness of peptide sales yet. I'm sure it's right around the corner.
Yep.
I'm sure my phone is listening
in
the other part of the room. It's just like, oh, we'll bring them in.
Yeah,
we'll bring the second wave
Send
in.
them, boss. Send them.
But no, I agree with you. I think that these things, if they are administered by a medical professional. We won't go too far into the kickbacks and the financial side of that whole thing. But one, yes, there should be phased doses to see how you respond rather than just like, hey man, just run its course and hopefully it works. And then two, especially when it comes to GLP-1s, if a doctor really had your best interest in mind, like sure, does it help with insulin sensitivity? Does it help with appetite suppression? Does it help better bioavailability in your digestion? Yes, those are all great things.
Right.
However, people just back to the scale thing, they just want to see the number on the scale go down. But this is such an accelerated, savage way for your body to go through its chemical processes that it's going to eviscerate your muscle and shred bone in the process. So if you just take it on a long enough timeline just to get the number down, you're doing yourself a incredible disservice. You are getting a momentary uptick in the short term to really screw yourself up in the long term. And we always had people like in Hollywood, like, oh, it's Ozempic face and that kind of thing. But it's true because
it's very real.
If a doctor was truly responsible, and yes, these things can absolutely improve your health markers and your longevity and get you away from pre-diabetes, all of that, 100% wonderful things technically. But if that same person is like, hey, if you're going to do this, you need to, if you haven't already, you need to start resistance training now.
Right.
Because you're going to lose a meaningful amount of muscle and bone density that could be irreparable.
Right. And when you fall, when you're older, biggest killer of human beings.
Falling. Fall risk, 100%. Yeah. And so that, can I count on that happening? Unfortunately not. But anyone listening who are exploring this, I have friends, I have family, and I have clients that all do this to good effect. But if I'm not training them personally, I pretty much, this is where I will berate them. It's like, you need to be training like yesterday. Because while this is putting you in the right direction, that's a bell curve that falls off real quick. So, and I have clients that are on low doses themselves, and it's great because I know I am putting them through a comprehensive training program that will keep their muscle and bone where it needs to be, if not improve it. But if you're not doing that, it's just heed this warning, please.
I would say one of the unknown benefits that I've learned about in talking to people who have been using various doses from person to person, especially with women, is what they call food noise and the quieting of it.
100%.
And how profoundly like freeing that was and that experience was to just like not even have that same kind of ringing and humming of like a tinnitus being, silenced.
I was talking to a client just yesterday that kind of started his intro dose, and that was his thing, is it does help maintain some of the psychological dependency on food too. And he's like, my brain, my bandwidth is now free to go somewhere else with that. And he's like, I don't just reach. It's like, oh, well, I'm bored, I'm going to eat. He's like, when I'm bored, I want to learn something now. I want to be more productive, which is a great ancillary benefit. That's something that, I can't relate to because but that is a cool side effect. That's a great one.
Yeah. It sounds like a very beautiful experience to, experience.
So
PED side.
I mean, that's a tough one. That is an onion that people don't even understand how deep that goes, because on the female side, on the male side, so much has been informed for decades. The trickle down of physical prowess and physical goals are coming from a bodybuilding stage or actresses. And the use of PEDs on a bodybuilding world as well as in Hollywood is pervasive. And it's never talked about. It's cagey as hell. So that's the unfortunate part, is people are often left like, hey, I want to be fitter, thinner, stronger, faster. I want to look like that. Well, it's like, okay, well, if you want to do that, and we'll kind of talk about the phases coming up in a little bit as a kind of a foreshadow, but it's a long game. 7, 10, 15 years.
Right.
But you feel so much better, and those effects are lasting when you do it that way. Whereas everyone else is like, oh, well, that person looks like that because they're on this stack of things, I want that. But because we're talking about the human condition, you just start upping doses. Well, if I take more, I'll get more results
faster, sooner. Yeah.
And that's where things get really sticky. And then said when you have a fatty heart that just explodes, or you have organs that shut down, or you have a stroke,
or all your hair falls out. Correct. And now you're in this, it's cool, be bald, whatever. Like, that's fine. It's not bad. But the point is, when things are happening responsively in your body, your fucking sack is shriveled into smithereens. Like, there's stuff you're trading off here. And again, I think it's just like, understand what you're doing, what you're getting yourself into.
Most people don't even care to look that far into it though. They're like, oh, that's the effect. Fine.
Yeah.
I'll just do it.
Yeah.
Don't you realize something bad happened? Yeah, but something good could happen.
Right.
Let's do it.
Right.
So,
or you're going to make a lot of sales online because you look outrageous in this lighting and you're vascular and blah, blah, blah. But like, people are sold this lie. And you know, it sucks. It sucks because that is not the epitome of health.
Sure.
And it's not a lifestyle that you want long-term.
No.
Anybody who has gone through that process, and we've talked to people on this show that have shared about that, and they're like, yeah, fuck that. Like, it fucking sucks. So, if you don't believe me, go find it. Let's dive into some of the carryover into where we find a healthier middle ground. What that looks like, some of what that feels like. Do you want to talk about, can you share some of your clarity from when you felt like swollen versus where you feel like you've got things into a good position personally, how it feels in your body, the difference, how to even spot it?
Sure. It was, at the time, I was getting obsessed with just getting bigger, however it took. And also, you look at the parallels of bodybuilding, and its usual approach is bulk and cut and bulk and cut and bulk and cut. And it gets refined over time. There's better data around it now, but most people are on the understanding that, oh, you can just put on 50, 60, 70 pounds of mostly just fat and then cut it off later. And that should be enough.
You peel away the marble.
Right. And that's inefficient. It's too extreme, but I was lost in the Kool-Aid. So I was like, fine, I'll just be obsessively eating. And I'd have a Tupperware or a snack sack or something with me all the time, or like just a shake ready to roll of like 1,000 calories of BS. And I was sluggish. It was depressive.
Yeah.
But you're like, well, this is what I need to do to get bigger.
Yep.
And I have now approached, this was probably 7 years ago that I hit that tipping point, like 190 something. And I'm right around there now, but far leaner, stronger, because I took 7 years of just building more muscle slowly. And I move better. I think better. I am happy all the time. And it's now been pretty much filed up to the point where this is just the normal now. I don't feel like I've put on more muscle. I've definitely felt like I put on more weight then.
Sure.
Like this is something that is effortless to maintain and move in the real world because I took another 7 years to get to this point, and I wasn't trying to put on 20 pounds in 6 months.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, is the granular motion over time. I actually, in almost preparation of this and how we talk to each other on the last podcast and just talking to friends and clients, is you just need to be okay with granular, mundane progress, like 0.001% a day. And you arrive somewhere, as long as you're consistent-ish,
right?
You arrive somewhere 5 to 7 years. I'm like, dang, that is extraordinary, what I've done in that time. But trying to do extraordinary things in a 3 to 6 month timeline, it doesn't work that way. It's not
nuclear bomb.
It's not. It's a recipe for depression, for burning out, for going the opposite direction when it doesn't pan out, because it won't. So that's the main thing, is just the 190 then was unhealthy. It was obsessive and depressive, and it didn't matter what I had to do. As long as it didn't kill me, I was going to find my way into the 190s somehow, but I was miserable doing it.
Sure.
Whereas I am elated and happy, and I get to enjoy the way I look. I look better. I am stronger than I've ever been, and my body moves even easier. So it's a testament to just slow, boring, mundane progress on a long enough timeline. You will be happier for it, and you will probably overall have a better outcome with all the goals and visions you had for yourself if you just are patient. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it brings up a lot of thoughts. It's hard to embrace that when everything around us is so instantaneous, from food deliveries to movie access to you name the thing, that everything is counter that ideology.
Sure.
And so it is sort of the ultimate act of rebellion to embrace things like this. I think it's part of my own, and I would imagine your obsession and love for Japanese culture and the mastery of these things that are like, here's how you start, pick the thing, and then find somebody who's better than you at it, and now fucking live in their shadow, right? You want to learn how to make a sword? 20 years. Yep. I'll show you how, then you can start your first one. Then you're going to try for another 20, and then you're going to fuck it all up for 20 fucking years. And by 1 years, now you're on your own, and now you're making something sort of decent. Are you okay with that? Like, probably not. And most people aren't. And I fall into that all the time, as do you, as does anybody. It's the wave of shit we're up against, but that's the goal of having folks hear us talk about this candidly and understand that, like, most of these things are out to get you for your money. Yeah. It's not personal, but in
fact, it's impersonal by design.
Right.
It doesn't matter what person you are on the other side of this transaction, as long as you buy something.
Yeah. You could fucking be any way, shape, or form or color. It does not matter. It's, do you have money to give me? Good. Here's a thing, and here's a problem with you, and I can fix it. Right. That's what we're up against. And so we always talk about these things, like the communal side of training. You can't do this alone. It doesn't mean you always need to pay you or I for it. That will help. It will help make shit make sense faster.
Yeah. The equivalent of someone teaching you how to make a sword, rather than you just sitting there with some raw materials and a forge and be like,
got him.
Okay.
See, if you exercise
and have mongoose reflexes
and fucking orangutan arms too, those help. But yeah, I think, the zoom out bird's eye of what we're talking about here is health is not a number. It is not a bench press. It is not a one size fits all thing. It is a culmination of a lot of factors. And the way to get there best and most well-rounded is with other people that are figuring it out alongside you. And you're going to be so much better prepared for that. It looks like it can come in many ways, shapes, and forms, right? Sometimes you can pay for mentorship. Sometimes you get really lucky and somebody sort of takes you under their wing, or you have really excellent parents that have lived a life of embracing healthy lifestyle habits. And so I don't think there is necessarily a silver bullet that we have not shared in terms of the better alternative to these things, right? Whatever feels extreme, turn your head the opposite way, because that is not the path.
Sure.
You said something earlier that stuck with me. And I shared something that stuck with you, and I only say that because you're like, oh, fuck yeah. But you're talking about the, renting versus owning philosophy. And a lot of those things like give you a sick rental window.
Yeah.
And here's the equivalent. You're in Miami. You have a lot of money to blow. So you rent a Lamborghini and you think people think you're cool.
Yeah.
And you feel like hot shit driving down. But
for
when you get on the
7 days that you're there,
and you get on the plane and go back and you get in your Corolla, love you, Toyota. Like, what are you now? Now you're a piece of shit because you drive a piece of shit. So like, if that's the way you operate and think, you're just further embedding this ideology into your system, and that sucks. And you're going to stay fucked up operating that way.
For sure.
Right. So, One challenge I have, and you can feel free to add anything you'd like after this, is how would you treat yourself if you could never weigh yourself again? You never saw another scale and you never saw another mirror. You have to clean yourself, you can get haircuts, whatever, but you don't get to see you. You don't get to see if you look fat or thin or whatever, and you don't get a number to tell you. If you had to base this solely on how you felt, what would you do? Would you behave differently? Would you?
You'd have a lot less stress and probably a net positive, I would imagine.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a hard thing to even imagine, right?
Yeah.
So I want to challenge people who have made it this far. Sit down with that thought and we'll do the same, because it's something everybody can, I think, benefit from.
Absolutely.
Any other thoughts or things you want to add, share from, I sort of went on a steam train fucking full.
Love it. Kind of touching on the renting versus owning thing is encouraging people to look at these things in a much longer timeline, being okay with that. And then what does a phasic process actually look like? Because this is what separates the rentership versus ownership. Because if you're looking for something that will change your chemistry or your body and as fast as possible, quite literally, that is renting.
Right.
And the minute you change the environment that is operating in, you will lose all of that progress. The faster you gain something, the faster you will lose something. That's just how the body works and often how life works.
Yeah.
And what the phases look like is, no matter what, strength is always going to be your ally. The data is conclusive. It is irrefutable. The largest marker for health, reducing all-cause mortality and longer life, is having more muscle on your body. That doesn't mean you're bulky. That just means that you have developed the tissue that you have available to be effective, strong, and you can utilize it for longer. So the starting point for everybody is always make yourself stronger. That is phase one. That laughs in the convention of you seeing the scale weight goes down, and it will. Well, two things. One, it will. If you have a lot of weight to lose, being stronger and upping your metabolic rate is going to help you lose weight. But two, it might ultimately change your perspective of what the scale weight should look like, because more often than not, especially with my female clientele, we make them stronger. They start seeing the toning that they were looking for when they were starving themselves. Tons of callbacks there. But they're like, oh, like, I like how that looks.
Abs? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's tricep. There's delts. Like, you seeing this quad? And I'm like, yeah,
I do.
I was like, how much do you weigh?
Sick, yeah.
And they're like, how much do you weigh? They're like, well, I'm up 5 pounds. I was like, okay. And like, I look the best I've ever looked. So I was like,
crazy.
So we can get rid of the scale then, or at least the idea of one. I mean, it's great to have metrics. It's great to have trackables, but it's a good feeling as a trainer and a coach too, when that narrative starts to change. Like, aha.
We call that recomposition.
Yeah. And that's good progress. And it's good progress for the body and the mind. And it's a patient person's game. Which we are not patient humans, but that's fine. We need to learn how to be, because the phases, you can stay at a caloric maintenance, hopefully, to allow you to support positive muscle growth. You can do this for 6 to 12 months, which people are like, what do you mean? I have to not lose weight for 6 to 12 months? Yes.
Yeah.
You'll live.
Right.
You'll live better for it.
Enjoy.
And then once you get to a point where you are noticeably stronger, you've tracked this, you feel better in your own skin, you have better autonomy and agency over what you can do to move through the world, then you can entertain safely and healthily starting to cut down a little bit. And that's, again, micro adjustments. And that will also be a phase of only 12 to 16 weeks, because their diet, no diet is permanent. Because your body's looking for homeostasis, looking for an equilibrium. So if you're cutting calories, your body is going to meet you where you're cutting the calories, and then it will stop you from losing weight out of self-preservation.
You have to go even lower than right. Yeah.
And then you're going to find a basement point where they no longer feel good. And if you're really obsessive with seeing what you're going to look like, okay, live in that for like 2 weeks, but then you have to go back up. And this is why it's phasic, is because you're going to build muscle to up your metabolism, be able to use that to take a little bit off, and then build more metabolism, take a little bit off. And then you get stronger and you look better on a long enough timeline. And that's how the phases work. But you're looking at years. Whatever ideal physique you have imagined in your brain, 2 to 5 years, realistically.
Yeah, the uncompromised version, meaning that organs have not been traded for stuff.
Yeah. And you are truly stronger and better for it and healthier, and you've not cut some crazy corner to get there. So that is the difference between renting and owning, is because once you get to that point, you own the body that you're in. You have so many more things established and a foundation that will last because you put rep after rep and phase after phase, and your body is programmed now. It's like, oh, this is what the expectation is for me. This is how I have to perform. And that depth and length of programming is so much more concrete in how you will live, even genetically, than sitting there and doing something for 3 months.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's my TED Talk.
Fuck yeah. It honestly doesn't get better than that. We last month put together a program over various episodes.
Yeah.
So if you are needing a program, listen to those.
Yep. It will be coming out on YouTube as well.
That's right. We'll have some video stuff for that. And yeah, try it, put it together, start there. Take one of the fucking days if you've never done any of this, and just let it rip.
Yeah. For months.
Right.
Yeah. Make that a phase.
Not one time. Don't do this one day, but, and if you need help, like holler. If you need help in us dissecting and chatting through some more of these things, then reach out to us and let us know. We are happy to answer more questions and really try to provide as much value for folks as we can.
Yeah. I mean, throw us a comment or in a review on this on like Spotify, just give us your feedback of like, hey, this could help me, or this didn't help me. It's constructive for us. But yeah, let us know. It also, helps scratch our little algorithm. But the main thing is like, we want to hear from you and want to be able to help you more.
Yeah. So that's all we got, folks. We appreciate you being here on The Long and Thick, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.